Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at some really interesting observations from a couple of students, Kesser and Steen, from their Nature and Innovation class.
Right, we're kind of peering into their notes, seeing how they're tackling some classic gardening questions.
Exactly. They're trying to sort out, the facts from maybe some garden myths.
That's a plan. So we've got two main things on the table today. First, Steed's question about seed viability specifically, saved seeds.
And then Kesser's thinking about keeping plants alive longer, like a chili plant, even when the climate, well, isn't exactly ideal for it over winter.
Yeah, pushing the boundaries a bit.
Okay, let's jump in with Steen. He saved tomato seeds, right? And he's stuck on this whole floaters are bad idea. The old sinker's good, floaters bad rule.
Ah, yes, the float test.
Mhm.
It's a really common thing people do.
But he thinks he has to throw out loads of seeds because they float. Is that test really that cut and dried? Or is it maybe a bit misleading?
It's definitely misleading if you take it as gospel. The thing is, the water test isn't a perfect check for whether a seed will grow. It's more about checking for really obvious problems.
Obvious problems
Like seeds that are totally empty inside or physically cracked or just completely dried out husks. Those often float. But a healthy seed can float too.
So if a seed is just really dry, but otherwise perfectly fine, it might float at first.
Absolutely. Especially seeds that need to absorb a lot of water, like, say, beans or peas. They might float for quite a while until they've properly soaked it up. If it sinks right away, okay, good sign, it's dense, it's hydrated.
But floating doesn't automatically mean it's dead?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It just means it's either dry or maybe damaged. You still really have to plant it to find out for sure.
And for tomatoes specifically, there's that extra layer, right? The gel around the seed.
Exactly. That slimy coating, the gelée, it actually has stuff in it that stops the seed from sprouting too early.
Ah,
So if Steen is doing the float test while that gel is still on, well, the results don't mean much for viability. You got to clean them first, often by fermenting them a bit.
right, right. So the float test is maybe just a very rough first sort, kind of like planting two pumpkin seeds in one pot, just in case one doesn't make it.
Pretty much. It's hedging your bets. You plant two, see which one looks stronger after they sprout, and then you snip out the weaker one. Simple selection, really.
Which leads us nicely to Kesser's idea. They were thinking more systematically, laying out seeds, maybe like a 10 by 10 grid.
Yes, and tracking not just if they sprout, but how quickly, how strong they look initially. That's proper selection.
And that kind of observation, that selection, it works best with certain types of seeds, doesn't it?
It works brilliantly with what we call seed-stable or heirloom varieties.
Hmm.
Thing like Grandma's old tomato variety that she saved year after year.
Because the offspring are pretty much like the parent plant.
Exactly. So over generations, by saving seeds from the best plants in your garden, you can actually adapt that variety a bit to your specific local conditions. It's slow, but it works.
But that whole idea falls apart if you're saving seeds from, say, an F1 hybrid you bought at the garden center.
Oh, absolutely. That's the big warning. F1 hybrids are amazing for that first generation. They're bred for specific traits, uniformity, vigor. But save the seeds from those plants.
And it's chaos.
It's genetic chaos, pretty much. All those carefully combined traits just scatter. That perfect snack pepper you grew might produce plants the next year that barely fruit or have weird shapes or just aren't what you expected at all. You lose that predictability.
Okay, good to know. Let's switch gears to Kesser's other question then, the chili plant. Can you actually keep a hot pepper plant alive through the winter? We usually just treat them like annuals.
You absolutely can. This is where it gets really interesting for extending the season. Chilies are naturally perennials.
Really? So they only die here because of the frost?
Precisely. In warmer climates, they'd keep going. So Kesser's idea of bringing it inside is totally feasible.
Okay, so how do you do it? What's the method?
Right. Before the first hard frost hits, you dig it up carefully or bring the pot inside. Then, and this sounds drastic, you need to prune it back hard.
How hard?
Pretty hard. Like maybe remove half to even 3/4 of the branches and leaves. This helps it conserve energy. Then you put it somewhere cool, ideally between, say, 45 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit.
So not a warm living room.
No, definitely not. Cool and relatively bright, maybe a basement window or an unheated perch if it doesn't freeze. And crucially, check it really well for pests like aphids before you get indoors. You don't want those spreading.
Makes sense. And the payoff for doing all that work.
Is a massive head start next spring. Huge. When you put that plant back outside after the frost danger is past, It already has a mature root system.
Ah, so it takes off way faster than starting a new seedling from scratch.
Weeks faster, sometimes even months faster to get fruit. It's already established.
So whether it's tossing out a clearly empty floating seed, or picking the strongest seedling from Kesser's grid, or saving that whole chili plant, it all comes back to selection, doesn't it?
Selection is absolutely the key theme running through all this, choosing what carries on.
And thinking about that overwintered chili,
Yep.
you're basically cloning it, right?
Yeah.
Keeping the exact same genetics going.
That's exactly what it is. Vegetative propagation, like how most people grow potatoes from tubers. You're just making copies of the parent plant. Fast, predictable results.
But potatoes also make actual seeds, true potato seeds, which is different.
Totally different. Growing from tubers is the fast track. You get clones. Growing from true potato seed is the slow track, but you get massive genetic variety. That's how breeders create new potato varieties adapted to new challenges.
So it's this trade-off, speed and certainty through cloning, like the overwintered pepper or the potato tuber, versus long-term adaptation and variation through seeds.
Precisely. Are you optimizing for next season? Or are you playing the long game of adaptation? That's a fundamental choice in the garden, and it's what Kesser and Steen are bumping up against, something for you to think about in your own garden.